Aloha everyone, welcome back again. So I'm making today cinnamon rolls, and I've made many types of rolls before, but this recipe is the simplest, I promise you. You don't have to do any fancy kneading and all of that. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour everything in the bowl. So I have here some warm milk. I just warmed it up maybe half a minute. Sprinkle some yeast. Next, put in 2 eggs, sugar, some salt, and then some butter, which I left out at room temperature for a while because it'll be easy to mix. So everything pretty much is room temperature. The eggs were left out for a while, the butter, and then the milk was warmed up in the microwave. I have some flour, and you just dump it all in. This is unbelievable. You just get everything ready, and my goodness, within a few minutes you'll have your dough ready. Now I'm using the regular paddle beater, and I'm going to put it on low speed just until it's all mixed, and that's it. Now I'm going to roll the bowl down so I can get the beater off, and then I take my spatula and scrape all the dough off. You will love this recipe because, as you can see, minimal amount of work and there's no messiness to it. I'm spraying the big bowl with some just regular non-cooking oil, spray type. So your choice, whether it's canola oil or olive oil, any kind. Okay, so the dough hook looks like this. It's kind of weird looking, but it'll take the place of kneading the dough. So we don't have to knead the old-fashioned way. Now, when I first got started out, I didn't have any gadgets like this. This is really fancy. This is top of the line. I only use my hand, a whisk, and then a regular electric beater, which kind of is out of place right now, but I still use it sometimes. So if you don't have one of these, you can use your hand to mix, or you can use a beater, okay? So let's put the dough hook on. Now we crank it up. And I'm gonna put this at medium speed for 7 minutes. And now I'm taking off the dough hook and cleaning whatever dough is left. You can see how different it is. It's just like I kneaded it by hand. So now I'm gonna transfer it to the bowl that I greased. Oh, this is so easy. You're gonna love this. Even kids can help do this too. So I just kind of make it into a nice ball, and you can see it's not sticky. So really good. So now I'm going to plop it in the bowl and grease one side. And now I'm going to turn it over so the other side is greased. And now I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap so it doesn't dry out. You know, in Vegas or maybe other places that you live, sometimes the weather is very cold. Like I tried making this a few days ago, and the temperature was like in the 40s. And when I left it outside to rise, it just never did rise. It took like, even after about 2-3 hours, I said, something is wrong. I almost gave up. Then I said, okay, it needs to be in a warm place. So what I did was I turned the oven on, maybe about 250, just for about 3 minutes or so, just to get it kind of warm. Then I turned it off right away, not reaching the whole temperature. And then I put this in, and wow, like magic, in about half hour, it rose. So you have to realize that if you live in a cold country, you know, you gotta check that out. And I know sometimes at home, some of the Portuguese ladies, although it's warm there, but they want it really warm, sometimes they put it outside, but they cover it with blankets to hasten the rising, okay? So now we're gonna go to the oven. So normally, you don't have to do this, but only if you live in cold places like Canada, New York, Kansas, Nevada. So you have to do this, otherwise your dough will not rise for many, many hours. And you'll be so frustrated. You said, oh, what's wrong with this recipe? But if you live in warm climates like Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Texas, where it's warm, you don't have to do this. Okay, the dough has risen. Now I'm going to punch it down. See it deflate? And then just bring it back to the center. It's a nice dough. Really good. So I'm going to spread some flour on this surface. And remember, in the old videos, we upgraded our countertops. Before, it was the tiles that had the grout in between, and I could never do this. But with this quartzite, it's beautiful because I can roll anything without any problem. Okay, so just flour it a little bit, and I'm going to roll it as about 24 inches by, I'm not sure, 9 or 10 inches, okay? So I'm just going to take this dough out. You see, not sticky or anything. So the flour is just to kind of help it not stick anymore. And then I'm going to roll it into a rectangle. Now I probably let it rise a little longer, but I would think that if you had the oven at 200, turn it on for 2 minutes and then turn it off. And then put your dough in. And it takes anywhere from, maybe 30 to an hour. See how nicely it rolls? I have all kinds of rolling pins. The traditional one. I bought this one because I seen some people use it on TV. And I like it because I can roll long pieces. And if you don't have a rolling pin, you can even use a wine bottle. So I'm going to measure it. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's only about 19, so we have a little ways to go. And the reason I'm making it 24 inches is because it makes 12 rolls that fits perfectly in this pan. So 2 inches each. And the dough will be rolled about 1/4 inch thick. So it measures 24 by about 15 inches. If it's more than 15 inches, it's fine. Okay, now the fun part. So I have a stick of butter that I melted, and I'm going to brush it all over it. You can pour some on first. This is what makes the bun gooey and nice. Now I'm going to sprinkle brown sugar all over. So just sprinkle it all over. You can use light brown sugar or dark brown. I prefer dark brown, and believe it or not, this is dark brown for one brand, but it's not very dark. I like the real dark ones. It gives a nice color. Okay. Now the cinnamon, again, sprinkle it, or you could sprinkle it from the bottle, whatever you want. And usually I'm pretty generous with the cinnamon. If you put a little bit more, I think the taste is enhanced. Now I'm going to add 2 extra things. Usually on these buns, they just put cinnamon, sugar, and butter. But I like raisins and walnuts or other nuts. Now the raisins. And if you want other kinds of berries like cranberries or other dried fruits, you can do that too. And see, if you had kids helping you, they'd have a lot of fun doing this. And the last one is some nuts, some walnuts that I chopped up. Sprinkle it all over. Cooking is very therapeutic for me. I love this. You can relax and be creative too. So that's why I keep on trying to make all these different recipes, especially things that a lot of you have not had since your childhood. Now you can learn how to do it. And all my recipes are pretty easy to do. Just follow the video. And don't forget to tell your friends about it if you like it. Now we're going to roll it. Here's what we do. From the wide edge, kind of like a jelly roll, just roll it. Right now it's small, but it'll get kind of big. Roll it as tight as you can. Okay, that's it. It's like a fat sausage. And I kind of squish the ends in. And now you're ready to cut it. And I've already greased the pan. And now I take my trusty thing And I cut it in half first. Now I'm going to cut it in half again. And each one into 3. Again, it's not an exact science, just do it. Now the other side, in half again, and then in 3. Now we put it in the pan. Now, it looks like there's a lot of space, but we're gonna cover this and let it rise again. Okay, now I'm gonna cover it and let it rise. Now, I was gonna say that if you're in a warm location and you're in a hurry to make these and you don't wanna wait that long, you can follow the same directions by putting it in the oven like I did. Now I'm making the glaze. All I'm doing is I'm putting cream cheese and butter, both softened, because if you cannot do it when it's hard out of the fridge because it'll have a hard time mixing. And then I have powdered sugar and vanilla. Now, powdered sugar is another thing you should know about. When I was in Hawaii, powdered sugar would tend to clump a lot. So you just can't measure it from the box because it'll be clumpy and terrible. So you would have to sift it. But here in Nevada, where it's very dry, things don't get clumped up. So I just took it out of the container and mixed it up. So now I'm gonna mix up the butter and the cream cheese on low speed first. Now I'm gonna add in some powdered sugar, a little at a time because it'll tend to splash all over. Be sure you scrape the sides of the bowl. And like I said, it's kind of messy because you see it's splattered all over. So now it's nice and creamy. I'm going to add the vanilla as the last step. Okay, now I'm just cleaning off the batter. And you see how beautiful this is? So nice and creamy. This will be the topping for the cinnamon rolls when it comes out. And oh, that icing, you'll love it. Just melts in your mouth. And you'll want some of it in every bite. And this will be enough to cover all of the rolls. As you can see, look how beautiful it is. It hasn't been baked, but the buns fill up the whole pan. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter came down to check it out. She looked in the oven and she says, "Grandma, it's not even cooked. Is the oven on?" I said, "No, dear. It's because it needs a warm temperature to rise." So when I looked at it at 30 minutes, it didn't fill up the pan. And I said, "Oh, I don't think so." So I put it in another 30 minutes and now you see the result. So maybe you have to test it out. And I actually had to turn on the oven just a little bit again to get it warm enough. Now, this is the secret ingredient that I don't think anybody else does. This is some whipping cream, and I'm gonna pour it right over all of the buns. And this will make it nice and creamy. Just pour it generously all over. Try not to spill it because it's risen to the top. And today we're gonna have the taste tester and he'll attest to that, how it tastes. And everybody's waiting to taste it, especially the taste tester who's been here over an hour waiting. Now it's ready to go in the oven. It's preheated at 375 and I'll bake it for 25 to 30 minutes. Wow, look at the size of these things. They're almost overflowing if I wait too long.
Hey, how you doing, Lenora?
Fine. What do you think?
It looks delicious.
Yeah, it is. But not everybody likes the glaze. So we're gonna take, you want glaze or no glaze?
I'll take glaze. Is
Okay.
this blueberry or raisins?
Raisins.
Raisins, oh, okay.
Yeah, raisins and nuts. Okay. All right. Now, Austin wants glaze, so let's see. The glaze is luscious. I can just eat it by the spoonful. It's really delicious. It's that delicious. Spooning it on.
It looks good.
Generously, if you want more.
I think that's fine.
Put as much as you like. Oh, but it's so good looking. Let's taste it. See what you think.
All right, seems good enough.
Good?
It's really soft and like I can taste the nuts. What kind of nuts are they?
Walnuts.
Walnuts.
But
oh,
you
okay.
can use almonds, pecans, any kind of nuts. Just chop it up. What do you think?
It's very delicious. I mean, I've never had a fresh cinnamon roll as fresh as this one.
Yeah. Just melts in your mouth.
Yeah, it does.
I love it too. And the glaze?
The glaze is amazing.
Well, you asked what was in the glaze. It is butter, cream cheese, powdered sugar, and a little bit of vanilla. And that's it. Mix it all up.
It's very delicious.
So like I said, some people don't want the glaze. So that's why I'm not putting it on all the rolls. Imagine if you took this to a potluck. You'd have to make 2 or 3 pans and it'll be gone in 5 minutes, I tell you.
I think I can eat a couple more.
See, in our house, this won't last till tomorrow. And as big as they are, wow, it's good.
Yeah, it's a good breakfast meal.
Oh yes, but the thing is, you gotta eat it fresh. You know, like tomorrow it's not the same. The next day it gets a little firmer. But if you need to warm it up, just put it in the microwave a few seconds and it'll be fine.
And as the official taste tester, take it from me. This is a very delicious cinnamon roll I've ever had, and it's mouth-watering and very delicious, and the glaze is just there.
If you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. And you can make all of these recipes. So mahalo for watching.